investors are adjusting. And I'll take your questions on All Matters Financial, 800-321-0710. And we'll talk about the high earner wealth trap. So we are live taking your calls on All Matters Financial. And if you're having trouble hearing us, sometimes we get complaints on the YouTube or Twitter. Be sure to put a comment in so Tom can fix the audio. For decades, the 60-40 bond portfolio was the standard. But in a world of rising inflation, rising rates, does it still work? We'll explore what's changed and how you can adjust your portfolio. The 60-40 portfolio had its worst year since 2008 and 2022, just 3 years ago, but it might be short-lived for you. But you may have remembered that. And the recovery has been uneven. Bond yields are rising, which created more attractive income, but also more volatility. Stocks are growing now, but the stock market went down in 2022 as well. So many are suggesting more dynamic models, such as risk parity or the 50-30-20 strategy. So give us a call now. We'd love to hear from you on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds. If you have a question on stocks, bonds, annuities, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. For someone nearing retirement, we got this question from somebody on X. And you can follow us on X at YourFinancialQB. For someone nearing retirement, what's a better way to think about building a portfolio today? Well, you have to think about one of four different strategies. One is figure out how much you need. So I'm going to give you four strategies. Number one, volatility buffer. Number two, GSI, guaranteed stream of income. Number three, tactical asset allocation. And number four, strategic asset allocation. So if you're wondering, how do I construct a portfolio where the news can just be so scary? Give us a call at 888-988-JOSH. I'll help you build a portfolio. Call them right now. We have operators standing by live. The old rules are fading, but the right X's and O's strategy is still out there. Let's build a portfolio that's built for now. Call 888-988-JOSH or visit Jelinsky.com and go to YouTube at Financial Quarterback. Hit the subscribe button. So let's talk about the four strategies. Number one, we got volatility buffer. So let's say you've looked at other things. You don't like bonds really. You're okay with treasuries. You don't like annuities. And you like the stock market, but you are nearing retirement. Just had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. He had over $1 million in stocks, about a 2.7, 2.8 million net worth. Actually going into, the family is re-engineering them to go into assisted living. So we're joined in the studio by Jim and some chatty Kathy who's talking while I'm talking. So good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Everybody loves when Jim's on. And then we're also joined by Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
You sound like a creep.
You look radiant.
He's trying to behave. I told him to behave, so he's being well behaved. So Richard is joining our firm. He's amazing. He's a are you a professional bodybuilder?
I am.
He's a professional natural bodybuilder.
We have to absolutely stress that, and I will stress at 59. Yes, it's possible.
You don't take any juice?
Nothing. My choice of drugs is food, and more food.
Great.
All natural.
And I can attest. Yeah,
that's my drug test.
So we got Richard. Jim does not believe in working out.
No.
Why do you not believe in working out, Jim?
I don't know. I did that when I was in my teens a little bit, in my early 20s, with a bunch of guys, and
He feels it's bad for his health.
No,
you know.
he feels you're all gonna. No, I know Jim.
What?
Jim's not even sharing his real. He thinks you're all gonna die at about the same age. You know, maybe get a year or two on him.
Yeah, that's all.
But he wants to enjoy his food.
All that workout and
And
you get hit
life.
by a car.
Yeah.
What happens then?
So yeah, but I think it helps you with your quality of life, especially as you age. So, and I definitely see a benefit from some people. I mean, my dad passed at 71, so he had that mindset, and he ate Breyer's vanilla ice cream. And you remember when he would work here? What didn't he used to walk to the dollar store
Yes.
for those
Yes.
dollar
Snacks.
apples?
Or snacks or whatever he had.
He was not fat.
No, he wasn't.
He was pretty, but he used to walk to the dollar store so he'd get his workout, and he would eat those gross, apple pies.
Oh,
from,
yeah. Hostess apple pies or something?
From when
That's
you were a
old
kid.
school.
Yeah.
They used to put that in my lunch. Thank God. When my father had his first heart attack at 12, I said, he wasn't 12, I was 12. I said, I'm going to change the family trajectory of health and not have clogged arteries. But he had clogged arteries, I think, when he was like 40. He would eat butter and bacon at every meal. Although now they say that's not bad for you. So, but I would beg to differ. Over like the carnivore people, I am severely. Here's the thing. I love meat. I love good steak,
do I.
eggs, all that stuff. But the bacon, that needs to be done like judiciously, like once every couple months.
Well, it's all in
Because-
moderation. It's
Because my
everything in moderation.
father, I think he had like bacon and eggs like every day before his heart attack.
But
So
there's some people that can process that.
Yeah, other
If you're-
people can't.
It becomes down, to the genes and
you eating bacon and eggs every day, Richard?
no,
No.
I cannot do
Eggs you can have.
that.
No,
Eggs,
but my
eggs
point
every day,
is-
but the bacon, no, everything's in moderation, and if you
But
do
Richard's
it in moderation, you'll have success, just like you talk
But
about.
Richard's
the
an
portfolio.
expert.
Yeah.
Richard's he had me. Although he told me something to do this week. It was gross. I did
What?
2 days this week. I'm trying to be a little better, but I don't think it was. I had 5
Discipline.
egg whites and 1 egg. Tasted disgusting. It had no taste.
You
I
know,
gotta
this
work
is.
on the ratio.
But this conversation right here on what you just said is perfect regarding financial portfolio and being able to really change your
Definitely.
mindset.
So,
Because
yeah,
that's what I talk about mindset with you. You got to ease into it and understand it's everything in moderation. You could take a spin on that on your financial.
Well, yeah,
advice. It's
when
the
you're
same thing.
constructing a portfolio, you got to think about the client. So when
Changing their mindset.
you
on
can't
what
change
they
your
feel.
diet every day. You got to kind of ease into it. You got to ease into portfolio construction. So the volatility buffer approach is if you like a lot of stocks, have 1 to 3 years in the bank or treasuries to get that, 4% return, or fixed annuities to get around a 5% return. Returns can fluctuate with changing interest rates. Check the contract details, surrender charges, etc. before you do anything. But the point is, the volatility buffer approach is you saying, I'm going to stay in the equity markets for a majority of my portfolio, but I'm going to take the amount that I spend every day, just like calorie counting, right? Like, although that's
it.
hard.
But
you
I
know,
always
to
talk to you
log.
about that. It's
So
tough
if
to
you
do.
log your expenses, do you know how much you spend every month like clockwork? I gotta be honest. I'm going on Amazon. I don't know. We just spent a lot of money for some kid's birthday party on crap from China that's going to be ending. What happened to the tariffs? I think they're just being passed on to the consumer. I paid $6 for a dumb 6 balloon. That was like $1 5 years ago. So when you're constructing a portfolio, one strategy is a volatility buffer. So that what that means is 1 to 3 years in cash, and then the balance in a well-diversified portfolio that has different components. Just like you can't have bacon every day, you can't build a portfolio of, gold. You can't have 100% in international stocks. So that's the volatility buffer approach. If you're worried about the stock market, call us 888-988-JOSH, say volatility buffer. Do you get what I'm saying when I say volatility buffer? You take your expenses for the next year, you times it by 1 to 3. If you had 3 years of your living expenses in short-term treasuries or cash, you are not going to vomit out your portfolio. Maybe you will, but then you'll need psychological help. So we're going to be back with more ways for portfolio construction. We have 4 key things we're going to go over this hour, and then we'll get into some of the other stories I talked about. Volatility buffer approach. Next, we'll talk about strategic asset allocation, GSI, guaranteed streams of income, and tactical allocation when we return. And as always, I want to hear from you. Call me right now. We are live, uncensored, unscripted, shockingly raw. 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jelinsky, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Josh and his team at the Jelinsky Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinsky to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinsky.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinsky, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
This just in from Jared Dillian. Harvard's endowment is in illiquid crap. So there's a dispute between Trump and some of these colleges for spreading anti-Semitic woke garbage. We're going to talk about what Jared Dillian just talked. Harvard faces $1 billion shortfall a year. They have $53 billion endowment. And what many are thinking, they'll talk big but buckle and negotiate because they don't have as much money as people think they do, because it's in illiquid private equity and hedge funds, which is basically where money goes to die. Richard, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you were talking about the risk and buffer regarding clients and what they should be able to feel comfortable with when news is not so good. If you're sitting with a client, how do you specifically, because we talk about mindset. Somebody comes in super conservative, like myself, 59 years old, I went through the market crash, I had my losses, so I'm super conservative on what I have now. But although I don't see myself, if you ask me about retirement, I don't foresee it in the future. So how do you?
Yeah, I hope not. You just joined us.
I know, but so with that said, how do you reprogram my mindset to really loosen up specifically on my portfolio? Because I know that's a lot of challenges, and I've seen as I sat in with you, I'm going to do what I do, but what can you recommend on that to loosen it up to truly gain what I need to have the lifestyle I want in the future?
I don't mind when you have somebody who's been through a rough go, like the 2008 great financial crisis, the 2000 to 2022. I'll tell you, this was me. 2000, I saw my parents lose everything due to disability and market crash. And when I started in the industry 20 plus years ago, I said, you know what, I don't really trust the stock market. So I get it. Like, I don't want to have, so there's a strategy. That would be a fifth strategy, but volatility buffer would be a part of it. But the fifth strategy is you lead with protection. That would kind of correspond to the GSI, guaranteed streams of income. So let's say you're just like, I've been there before, I start putting my money in. Volatility buffer would say you take your expenses. So let's say you didn't have a job for the next three years. Let's say I go, you're done because you already have one eye for the exit. No, I'm kidding. Richard's
nice.
going to be here for the next 20. See, the beautiful thing about working with us is we have a team of how many people? 10 people that this is their last job. What I love about each and every one of our, we have many employees 50 and over, and I think they're the best people to hire in the world. Why? They want to ride out with one last gusto. You know what I mean? They want to make a difference in the lives of our clients. They just don't want to clock in and clock out. We've had people here, what, 15 years, 50 and older? 3 people, 4? A while.
Yeah.
And they go, Josh, this is the last job I'm going to have. Because they see the value in helping people. The satisfaction when Jim gets a call from Table D. You know who you are. No. And he might even call today. And you know that when that guy calls, everybody jumps. Not because he's demanding, but because there is love for him and his lovely wife. Meaning, this isn't what you get in corporate America anymore, right? You used to have a job and have a job for life, and you know, you knew your job was going to be there, and you have satisfaction. So what I would encourage you, if you're in your 50s and you kind of are at your second act or third act or fourth act, and you're kind of scared about the market, there are 2 approaches for you. One is the volatility buffer. The second is GSI. So what I would do is make sure you have 1 year of living expenses in the bank. So if you didn't go back to work, if something happened, you know, you have a year's living expenses to kind of be on your feet like a cat. Then once you go beyond 1 year of expenses in the bank, max out your Roth, max out your solo 401k as an independent contractor, max out your 401k, max out your Roth 401k. So I get this from a lot of people. They go, Josh, I'm 55. Is it too late? I get that sometimes. No, it's not too late. You're taking care of yourself, Richard. Other than your knees, man.
Yeah.
You have the body of a 35-year-old, right? Or 44-year-old. You lift more than me. So you got to plan for a 30, 40-year life, right? Hopefully.
Unbelievable.
So
Appreciate it.
you need your stocks. You need some equity exposure, right? For the long haul. I get people say, well, what about Trump? What about Obama? What about Biden? I've heard it all. And guess what happens? The market goes down and then it goes up again. So you blend in a portfolio. Volatility buffer could be for you. Also guaranteed streams of income, which is at 65 on $1 million stock portfolio. You could generate 40 grand a year, or you could generate at 65 something like 80 to 100 grand a year if you started now and you banked $1 million of cold hard cash for the next 10 years, or it could be 500 grand of cash for the next 10 years, or it could be 250 grand of cash for the next 10 years. So it doesn't have to be a big number. You know, if you bank 250 grand in something like an annuity, you'd get 25 grand a year, just 250 grand. You get 25 grand a year for life in 4 years for retirement with the way income bonuses work. In 10 years, you might get something like 50 grand a year for life. You add that to Social Security, which might be about 50 for you and your spouse or significant other, then you get another 25. You get 125 grand a year retirement in 10 years. That's if you had nothing saved. So you got to, check the verbiage, the fine print. Annuities aren't right for everybody, but that's the GSI approach, guaranteed streams of income, which is you solve for what you need. Let's say you need 10 grand a month to live. You make sure your pension, Social Security, annuity equals 10K. Then the rest of the money you take risk with. So you lead with protection. Larry Kotlikov had a book, Magic Money, which was called Inside Out Investing or Upside Down. And basically it was just you lead with the protection component of your portfolio. So you don't lead with the riskier part. You lead with the more aggressive part. So we're going to go to the phone lines at 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. So what other questions?
Well, I got a follow-up from that, Josh, and that, sitting before joining the firm and being exposed to all this great knowledge and thinking, which I know the listeners are absolutely thrilled to be able to
And you've
hear.
had how many years in the financial services arena?
I've been in the mortgage primarily 30 years, but all the clients and such, I've been exposed for probably the last 15 years.
Yeah,
but
we
not
met,
to the
I don't know,
level.
12, 14 years ago
Yeah,
at a large
firm.
broker-dealer managing, over $1 billion, like $4 billion, something like
Yeah.
that. And
I have not been
interviewed how
exposed.
many financial advisors
I-
over your
and-
lifetime?
And I know where this is going, and this is a great, and then tie into the question. But I've been exposed to hundreds of financial advisors being, first front and center, sharing knowledge on leverage strategies and mortgage and all that stuff. But I've never heard the breakdown at my age because, again, I went through that crash, and I've brought this conversation up to others. And it was always lopsided into just a specific product of the day for them, mutual fund or whatnot, not the strategies you're talking about. But so it's very interesting to hear.
And we had this.
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was raised in a financial culture. So most advisors, if you are not familiar with it, they come from either two worlds. A wirehouse world, like a big name bank that you've heard of, or a mutual fund company world, or an insurance company world. So they are either pushing some type of product, like a mutual fund, or a fund, or some type of annuity. There's nothing wrong with those things. But you have to synergize it in a strategy. And that's why we say we want to build your retirements with all heart and no regret. Now, no regret does not imply, no guarantees in the stock market. There are no guarantees in the stock market other than uncertainty, death, and taxes. But when we say all heart and no regrets, what we're saying is we are building retirement plans with all heart, meaning your heart, your soul, what you've worked to, the product of your life. It is inextricably linked to your money. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And money, people, I meet with people, I go, why do you have $2 million in cash? And they go, I'm scared about XYZ. And a lot of the times, why are you selling at a downturn when you shouldn't? Because their money is not just money. They know financially what to do, but it is the product of years of blood, sweat, toil for your loved ones. So there's a heart component to financial planning. There's also a holistic component where products have to meet the strategy. So that's why the show is the financial quarterback. It's not just about doing a little product there and a little product there, doing annuity here or funds here. It's about reevaluating them to be nimble, to call an audible. An audible is in football is when the quarterback changes the play. because he sees the way the defense is lining up. You got to do that. You got to have split second. So it can't just merely be put this product in for 30 years and do this for 30 years. So
That's a great analogy. It really is, and I want to touch bases. You know, when we're working out, we're talking about health and fitness. It's trying to understand what makes you tick and really what you want to accomplish. It's the same thing with anything, and within the financial piece. This is what truly radiated me to come aboard, because I've seen that one side. The advisors are going, you know what, Rich, just put them in mutual funds and let them sit for a little bit, and not knowing better because it's not the area of my
And they're
expertise.
nice people, they
yeah,
mean
but that
well.
doesn't. But they truly didn't know, Josh, what made me tick, and you know you did, and you touched base. But here's my question, just to follow up, is because I've considered this before even joining and really understanding. Talking about, you know, income that I can't outlive. You know, it's the pension, Social Security, and I looked at like annuity. Is it better to buy like, what's the advantage per se if I wanted to buy an annuity now, not draw the income obviously, but do later? You talked about soaking in, you know, the Roth and all the advantages on taking, you know, advantage of the tax no, I can't even get that out. It's Saturday morning, but you know, tax advantages and all that stuff. But why would I, if it is even an advantage to buy an annuity now and wait?
The benefit is the rates have never been, I mean, there might be a time where they were better, but in my recent memory, rates were really good, I don't know, in the last 3 years. The last 3 years of annuity rates, because interest rates are higher, right? As mortgage rates are higher, so are annuity rates. But that helps you, the person yearning for retirement. So I just did a 242 grand quote for a 64-year-old who waits till they're 70 to do an annuity. So they didn't save as much as they'd like, have 242 grand from a prior job. They will get $30,000 and $30,003 for life. So I don't know what that is as a payout, but that's over 10% for the rest of their life. So if somebody didn't save as much as they want to, that's 30 grand plus, let's say you're at 40 grand for Social Security, that's 70 grand a year, and you only have 242 grand saved for retirement. Now, you then blend that in with some equity strategies. You know, you could be talking about a very decent income for somebody who didn't save that much, right? Because you have to plan for the eventuality that it may not work. So next up, we're going to go to Bitcoin prices after the break. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high with Gordon. When we return, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
We're back, taking your calls on all matters financial. And we have Gordon. Go ahead. Gordo.
Yes, Josh. A very interesting show so far. I was wondering, given I was wondering if you could give me an idea, look into, the future and give me an idea of when do you think the price of a Bitcoin will become too much, is not worth the cost anymore? If you can give me an idea what that would be.
I don't think it will ever. What is my long-term price prediction on Bitcoin?
More or less, or at this point,
I
what would
think
you say
that's
is
the
too
wrong
high a
mindset.
price to
Okay,
pay
that
for a Bitcoin?
you've listened to me for years, right?
Yeah.
And there was a time when I was against Bitcoin. And then I don't know, like, what was it, like 6 years ago, I changed my mind. So I think Bitcoin was what, 5,000 then? Something? So you can change your mind, right? It's never too late. I believe Bitcoin's going to keep going up. But does that mean you go out and buy it for FOMO? Certainly not. It depends on. This is where an importance of a financial plan, right? Like, so I have talked to people about gold for years, right? Talked to people about Bitcoin. A broader, and that's the third point, you're kind of dovetailing into my talk today, portfolio construction, right? You have item number one was volatility buffer, right? Item two was guaranteed streams of income. So you figure out what you need for your monthly nut. You fund an annuity or have income from Social Security to fund your expenses. And then the rest you can put into things like Bitcoin, gold, etc. See, the problem is people are like, Josh, give me that tip so I never have to work again, right? Or something like that. I mean, I believe Bitcoin is a great financial asset. Now, I don't believe in putting more than, 1 to 3% of your portfolio for the average person. But I mean, I have clients, they have, 50% of their wealth in Bitcoin. It's not it's just, they've held it for years. So it's just grown. You want to set up your financial plan so you're anti-fragile. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So if you have $1 million portfolio and you have one Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, you'll be well off having one Bitcoin at 118,000. But you got to be prepared for Bitcoin to get cut in half in a winter. But long term, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think we're headed to 200,000 over the next, few years. But that's not, 10 years from now, I could see Bitcoin being $1 million a coin. But it's not, it's only because the dollar continues to be worth less because of the rising government debt and spending, and no one's cutting spending. So if we had a deflationary environment, it would probably be bad for Bitcoin, an inflationary environment. But to me, you don't construct a portfolio. People say, well, what about gold? Well, you could have, and this is where strategic asset allocation, right? So if you have $1 million portfolio and you had 5% Bitcoin, 5% gold, 60% equities, 30% fixed income or an annuity or something like that, for you're not going to wake up and have all of your money go to zero because it's all in Bitcoin or it's all in gold. Does that make sense? That's strategic asset allocation. Now, it's not your typical financial advisor that you go to who says, oh, you need the pie. Do you know about the pie, Jim? People come to us with the statements and they have these pies and they think they're diversified.
I like apple pie.
Well, the pie stinks, okay? Your pie, your grandmother's pie is gross. And one of the things you need to learn about is strategic asset allocation, which is having different things do things in different concert. David Ranson has some great resources on this. I'll give you resources on modern asset allocation if you call us at 888-988-JOSH and request the strategic asset allocation review. But you have people, arguing for 1 to 5% in Bitcoin as a hedge, as a percentage. That has merit for me. I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. But to be honest, I know a lot of Bitcoiners who they have 50 million. I mean, these guys, Bitcoiners have $50 million in Bitcoin. You know what they all want to do? take their Bitcoin and they buy houses with it. So it's funny, you know. If you know Bitcoiners with serious wealth, they generally off-ramp their money in periods of height to, they wouldn't tell you this publicly, but they buy real estate. So to me, it's a part of a plan. You have real estate, you have stocks, you have Bitcoin, you have gold, you have annuities, you have bonds, you have cash. Well, I know you're going to make more over the long haul and maybe stocks, bonds, Bitcoin. You have cash value life insurance. But there's something, if you've been through a tough time financially, where Will Rogers once said, I care more about the return of my money than the return on my money. For me, that was when I had enough money in cash to weather a financial storm. Then I started investing in long-term assets. I know that's not typical what people say, but that's kind of the volatility buffer GSI approach. Strategic asset allocation is more of my spin on the traditional, but it's a better way to do it because you have different asset classes and you're not only just diversifying assets, you're diversifying trading strategies. So I hope that helps, Gordon. And you've been listening for years, so you could say I told you so, right? You've been there when I made the Bitcoin call. You've been there when I made the gold call, right?
Sure.
And to me, people change their tune off, and I really haven't changed my tune in many years on both. So
I should have put my question slightly differently. I should have said, at this point anyway, do you think Bitcoin is worth the price that they're charging? A little under 120,000. Do you think a Bitcoin is worth that money at this time?
something is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. So do you think NVIDIA is worth it? Do you think a baseball card is worth it? Do you think people who believe that government overspending is running amok and they want diversification out of the dollar, digital gold, if you will, money that is borderless, that has rules that can't be changed, they like Bitcoin. So if that's you, I mean, I also like real estate for that reason. I like stocks for that reason. I like gold for that reason. I mean, again, it's not, I think what you're saying is, do you have any Bitcoin? Because I've been listening to your, or did you chicken out? You've never.
I can't quite grasp the entirety of the Bitcoin concept.
So now you're thinking is, hey, I like the concept, but it's too much. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know your whole future, and we're not giving financial advice. You can call us at 888-988-JOSH. But the point to me would be, you know, don't start out with putting 100,000 in. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin.
Oh.
And you see how it works, and you see if you like the concept, and you read books on it. You want to be educated about what you're investing in. But I, you know, is it too much? People have said that with Tesla stock, Apple stock, Amazon stock, NVIDIA. What I've learned in my investing days is the first time somebody asks that question is probably usually a good time to invest in something. People said that when Bitcoin was like 1,000. I remember, oh, is it too much? I missed out. I didn't buy it when it was a penny. But again, I'm not telling you to go buy Bitcoin. I do believe in it. I believe in gold. I believe in stocks. You know, it's not.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not like some people, though, who believe in Bitcoin as a religion. Remember those people on Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We did those Clubhouse talks, and it was like, you know, what is, you know, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And they would be like, no, Bitcoin is.
Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm not one of those, but, I mean, I definitely believe it's a long-term instrument that
Josh, what do you think
change
about
money
comparing?
forever,
What do you
like
think about
gold
comparing
or
a Bitcoin to all these other electronic, you know, Doge and all these?
No, I
things?
believe that Bitcoin is completely different than any other cryptocurrency. I don't like most any other cryptocurrency. It's not programmatic. It doesn't have a fixed supply. It's, you know, there's characteristics of Bitcoin that make it unique. Only so much can be mined. It's like digital gold. It's borderless. There's no Bitcoin committee. You know, people with what about XRP, Josh? Well, XRP, if you read when these guys were under oath, they basically were, I don't like a cryptocurrency where there's guys that have to go under oath, you know, like, you know, nobody's finding Satoshi Nakamoto, probably the fake name for the guy who came up with Bitcoin. So it's a totally different instrument, but you got to read the white paper. But anyway, I'm probably boring people, but to me, I mean, I remember having a conversation with Bitcoin Tina. Do you remember this? And Bitcoin Tina sold all of his Bitcoin the last crash. So this guy was the biggest advocate for Bitcoin for years. He's a nice man. He's my friend. We talk occasionally. And he sold at the wrong time. And if he would have I remember having the talk when Bitcoin was $67,000. I said, Bitcoin Tina, just take 1 to 3 years of your expenses and put it in cash. And he was yelling at me and screaming at me. And he said, what if cash goes to zero? What do you do? You know, and you got to realize a lot of these people do this to gain a following, right? The loudest voice, the most controversial voice
Squeaky wheel gets the oil.
wins. But I would argue that, you know, I might have more Bitcoin than Bitcoin Tina, but because I didn't sell my Bitcoin. So I bought it and I forgot about it. You know, that's the thing with you. You know, you got to buy things and forget about it for a while. Let them bloom if you believe in the price action. So but if he would have had a volatility buffer 1 to 3 years, he would have never sold his Bitcoin. Does that make sense? If he had 3 years of his living expenses in cash, he wouldn't have sold. And here's why people sell sometimes. Maybe your wife wants you to sell. I've had people, they come in and the market, they believed in the stock market. Same thing with the stock market. And then their spouse is hyperventilating when they get the quarterly statement. Oh, I'm down $100,000. Now, you don't realize, okay, if you have $1 million portfolio, you lose 10%, you lose 100 grand. That's easy. And you lose that in a couple days. But because you and your honey weren't in on the money, then the spouse says, I'm leaving you if you don't sell. So what are you going to do? You're going to sell. Or I'm going to have a heart attack and die because of the stock losses. Remember, I had a spouse go to me and says, I have to sell, Josh, because I believe my spouse will have a heart attack. We cannot endure the stress. Isn't that crazy? I've had that once. I had somebody write me once, although no, never mind. I'm not going to say. They were a little bit joking, but so I'll leave that one aside. But I mean, that was one time out of like 25 years, so it was a pretty good track record. But the point is, no matter how much you know the stock market is volatile. By the way, the Bitcoin market is way more volatile. So you got to be prepared for that, or you should have no business investing in it. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps you. We're going to call you Bitcoin Gordon.
Oh.
And when we return, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
We're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, taking your calls at 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds. So, Richard, did you have any other questions?
Many. What's the next topic coming into? 'Cause then, before I ask.
Well, we got to finish the whole portfolio construction. So let me do that. GSI, Guaranteed Streams of Income, Strategic Asset Allocation, which Gordon did a good job. Meaning so many people say, like, what's your hot tip, right? The idea is you balance different strategies. That's strategic asset allocation. You have some international. You have some gold. You have some Bitcoin if you want that. But you have to sign the Bitcoin disclosure and realize there's a certain amount of risks there. You have so much in U.S. equities, so much in annuities, so much in bonds. The point is, people make it like, I don't know, I'm anti this, I'm anti, it depends on the person. But strategic asset allocation is trying to construct a portfolio where there's a yin and a yang, where there are things that are non-correlated to the market. So number one, we talked about volatility buffer. Number two, GSI, Guaranteed Streams of Income. Number three, strategic asset allocation. Number four, so think about Gordon, great guy, right? He's been listening for how many years?
Oh, God.
Since, Gordon, we have to meet. Call us at 888-988-JOSH. But, I mean, he's been hearing me talk about these things for years, and is a perfect example. He didn't take action. But that's where strategic asset allocation comes in. If you put 1% of your assets in something and it grows to 3%, you're not going to think twice about it if you lose as much. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, and
It's part of a broad. And then the final thing is tactical. Tactical is a strategy where we go from cash to equities based upon technical signs, and the goal is to protect you from volatility. And there are signals like the 9-day exponential moving average, or the 200-day, or the 50-day. We're looking at all of those, and the goal is not to predict what the market does next. It is to hopefully not lose as much in a downturn. So that's tactical. And although it's tactically managed, it doesn't imply a certain degree of success, but we're watching it every day. I get clients who said, you know what, in the last downturn, how many calls did we get in the last downturn? Like two?
Very few.
Four?
Two.
We have thousands of people in our database, many, many clients, well over 1,000. I think we have like 2,500 total. And there was maybe 4 people were worried about the market. And maybe they might have been worried and didn't call us. And then I remember somebody would say, well, a lot of people called you, right? I go, no, not at all. Why? They know whether they are tactical, and they open up their Fidelity account or a Schwab account, and they see that we moved so much to cash as a hedge. By the way, cash is an asset class too, right? And the wise and judicious use of cash to go in and out of different things is very mindful. So go ahead, Richard.
So here's a...
And by the way, before Richard
Yes.
opines
Yes,
or
sir.
questions, waxes
sir.
eloquent, call us now, 800-321-0710. This is your show, folks. I want to hear from you. You are the listener, live, raw. Give us a call, 800-321-0710. Go ahead, Richard.
So here's the question, and maybe this is what Jordan's doing. With the world
Who's Jordan?
Gordon.
Michael
it was
Jordan?
Gordon? Well, could be Jordan too. It's probably
Yeah.
Gordon.
Mike
Oh,
Smith.
I
all
didn't
the
introduce
above.
that. Richard, not only has he spent 30 years in financial services. He has a wonderful command of the English language.
Hey, you know what I call it when my kids say
Unlike
something?
any person I've ever met.
It's called a richism.
Richard.
Hey, when something comes out that doesn't have, it's not
I didn't
specifically
even, I didn't
grammarly
mention anything.
correct.
I just said I was trying to compliment you.
It's a richism.
I-
So here's this is the major question, and I'm sure it's on every listener's mind. But with the world unfolding with AI, right? So with Chat
hate AI.
GPT, exactly. So all these strategies and positions one can take, break down, going into Chat GPT or any of these other AI tools. What would they tell you? What you're supposed to trust versus how we handle it at the firm. I know this is like a power, but most friends I talk to, well, I went on ChatGPT and put in strategic allocation, and I'm following. Seriously, like break that down.
Because you could go to ChatGPT or one of these, and you're gonna get the same blah answer. It sounds like some dummy came up with it. And I'm not against AI. AI is like, to me, another version of Google, right? It's the next evolution. So I'm going on Microsoft. What is strategic asset allocation according to Josh Jelinski? Right? Let's see if
Love it. Yeah,
let's see if it
you're
does
in the
it.
system for 20 years plus.
Maybe it. You got to ask it the right questions to get the right data. According to Josh Jelinski, listen to this.
Does it really say that?
Strategic asset allocation involves a thoughtful approach to managing investments by balancing risk and achieving long-term goals. No, I never said that. I said you need to construct a portfolio in such a way so that you don't vomit it out when the market goes down, whether it's the Bitcoin market with the Bitcoin team analogy. Then what else? We got the newscast. Michael's willing to hold over for the newscast. It is about finding the right mix of assets in a portfolio to reflect one's current life stage and risk tolerance. No, that's not what I said, right?
So it's good. So it's all over the map, and here's
No, it's really
So as you read that, the follow-up, and this is all going to tie in because I want you to spell this out for everybody.
it's wrong.
But how about all of a sudden, and because we
No,
didn't get
but
a
it
lot of
doesn't.
calls.
But-
we didn't
but-
get a lot of calls. Check this out.
Okay,
We
go
didn't
ahead.
get a lot of calls when we had this big drop, right? So what happens? Somebody goes in and uses ChatGPT then. Like, what are they telling you? Like, this is where I say, AI's great.
Well, we have a
but
hard
it's
out.
not a
So
mine.
we're going to talk about this when we return. But no, AI told me nothing. It said you need to have a balanced approach. It's like, okay, well,
AI.
what does that mean? Which funds do you need to buy? Which ETFs do you buy? This fund, this blue chip growth fund, this S&P fund. How do you mix it? How do you mix the recipe? That's why you need us to go over your portfolio. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York. The #1 preset on your car radio and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Free. Never sounded so good.
New York has a voice.
I always get my news from WOR. Why? One word. Trust.
Always the voice of New York. 710 WOR.
An iHeart radio station.
It's 79 degrees at 10 o'clock. Good morning, I'm Bill Trefiro. A man is under arrest in a high-speed hit-and-run in Brooklyn that left 2 other men dead early yesterday. Kristen Marks has that story.
Juventino Anastasio Florentino is accused of plowing into the victims as they were walking toward 3rd Avenue to cross at 52nd Street and Sunset Park around 4:30 a.m. Residents say driving recklessly is an issue in the area.
Here, the speed is high. My main concern is to have more cameras here.
Oh, he didn't even bother stopping.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Florentino was taken into custody later in the day at his Staten Island home and faces 2 counts of manslaughter and a slew of other charges. The 23-year-old was tracked down after cops located his BMW 3 at his home in St. George.
New York City's police department is trying to address the street drug use and homelessness in the South Bronx area. Scott Pringle has more on that.
A mobile NYPD command center is now in place at Roberto Clemente Plaza. This is after Bronx Congressman Richie Torres highlighted that the area in and around East 149th Street and 3rd Avenue has become an open-air drug market with numerous weekly overdoses. City officials on Thursday announced a multi-agency effort, including the sanitation department, to clean up the commercial corridor.
Visiting flood-ravaged parts of central Texas alongside the First Lady, President Trump saying Friday that his administration has fixed FEMA. Critics say that the robust federal support of the agency is absolutely necessary in disasters amid questions about the agency's future. ABC News spoke to former FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell.
This was a terrible event, but it's in a state that actually has a lot of capability. What if something like this happened in a different state and they didn't have those resources to come in right away, and we're trying to decide whether or not FEMA should come in or not? Those are the kind of questions that we had in place before Katrina. We've made so much progress since then.
Meanwhile, the U.S. government saw a fiscal surplus in June thanks to President Trump's tariffs. The Treasury Department said Friday the month brought in a surplus of more than $27 billion after a $316 billion deficit in May. The numbers brought the nation's year-to-date $1.3 trillion deficit down about a percentage point. Spending is up 6%, however, compared to this time last year. In sports, the Yankees crushed the Cubs 11-0 in the Bronx. Mets come back to win against Kansas City 8-3.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. Partly to mostly cloudy today as the high approaches 85 with a light breeze out of the east. The low tonight should drop to 71 under a cloudy sky, and then a mix of clouds and sunshine in the weekend tomorrow with a high close to 84. The next chance of rain will be heading into Monday with the potential for some scattered showers and thunderstorms as the high approaches 83. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Next news, 11 o'clock, bulletins at once. Wake up with Menti in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m. on Monday. I'm Bill Trefiro on 710 WOR.
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jelinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jelinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jelinski.
AI is a morass of human thought. To remind you of SAT definitions, a morass refers to a tract of soft, wet ground, such as a marsh, or figuratively, it can also mean anything that entraps or makes progress difficult. For example, a complicated or confused situation. She would become lost in a morass of lies and explanation. AI is, in my mind, a morass of human thought. It is the collective groupthink of everything and everyone. It has no originality, no soul, and to be honest, every time I try these AI tools, it's dumb. It looks like the same thing over and over again. And if you are managing your money with AI or you think a computer is going to save you, good luck. Because you can't get a computer to fight for you and your family like you can a real live person. Does that make sense? We had somebody, you know, they had Fidelity made some mistake on taxes, right? And we were trying to get it before it became like before they got a statement from the 1099. I was on the phone with Fidelity. You know what? Remember we would call these people? And this is any custodian. It's not just Fidelity. It could be Schwab. They'll make, and you know, I heard people in the background at like a cocktail party. People are working from home because the AI, and that's why everything that is generated and everything run stinks today. Does that make sense? It's like groupthink. So if you if you talk about we talk about side hustles and stuff, and then all you see is the same 10 articles on the same thing. Nobody's saying, your side hustle sucks. It's killing you. Why? Because that's what's true. None of these people doing side hustles are getting ahead in life. The AI isn't saying that. What is the value of a side hustle? A side hustle is good for you to do DoorDash, and you get an extra $10 an hour. It says the same thing over and over again. Enough with the AI. Okay.
Josh, tell me
rant
really
over.
how you feel about AI. How do you feel, brother?
You know what? It is, I'm a little annoyed with AI. Because people think it's going to save the future. You know what? It's just like the internet didn't save the future, it made it worse. Social media, it reveals the heart. Is AI a tool? Great. Do I use it sometimes to see what the collective morass of humanity thinks about a subject? Yes. But I want originality. I want thought. I want a soul.
Yes.
Preach it.
So anyway,
Preach it.
AI will never have a soul. It's why Elon Musk, right? I loved his approach for Doge. I loved his idea, lower debt. He completely failed. He was a complete, let's be honest, he was a complete and abject failure because he did it with no soul and no articulation. He did it just like an AI bot. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So he just hacked it. You know what he should have said? We are all, Republican or Democrat, screwed with the amount of debt that we are placing on our children and grandchildren. All I'm asking for you is if you have a heart, if you have a soul, regardless of what party, we want you to cut your department by 1% this year. Can you find 1%? And after that was successful, can we find 2%? But no, he went on this ballistic missile rant, machine gunning, so then people thought it was indiscriminate. People thought it was just some unelected guy, and then Trump got rid of him, and, because he had to, because it was bad for PR, and then we keep adding to the national debt, and we haven't solved the problem, which is probably one of the great national crises that we've just kicked the can down the road. But the point is, this is where AI gets us. AI doesn't get you a soul, right? I don't care what they program. AI is getting smarter. By the way, I believe in it. Fourth generation AI is pretty scary in what it can do. But does that make sense? So next
total
up, we got Michael. What does Bitcoin? Let's go, Michael.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Hello?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me on the show. I was on, I guess, a month or two ago, and my question back then was, should I take some of my tax-deferred annuities and put it into silver and gold? And we went over that. So far, I did take some of it out, and it's been doing very well with gold and silver starting to rise finally. My question now is, with all this Bitcoin that we're talking about, I would love to know if you could explain to me how it actually works, what the mining is. Like, everybody talks about it as though they know what they're talking about, but nobody could explain it. And I think there's a lot of people that if you explained it to us, we would be like, that's what it is.
Yeah, they're using AI to define what Bitcoin mining is. So think of it as you have a computer. I'm not an expert, to say the least, but you have a computer that is solving a problem, a complex mathematical problem, right? So you have this computer. So the miners are using very powerful computer processors to complete mathematical problems, which then increase in difficulty, so that as Bitcoin evolves, the problem gets more complex and harder to solve, so no one can crack the Bitcoin network. And there's something like 68 to 70,000 different miners that are humans. So it's not like it's nothing. By the way, when people say Bitcoin is nothing, it's not nothing. They are using energy they require huge amounts of energy, which is why some environmentalists don't like it, wastes a lot of energy. I think Bitcoin solves the problem for years, so you might have less wars, so that you might ultimately have a better environmental solution just due to that. How many wars are fought over money, right? And think about the U.S. dollar collapsing. What are we gonna, then this country does that, you might start a war over. Okay, well, China, if they get everybody to go against the dollar, well, there'll be this covert war. So Bitcoin solves that ultimately. So the miners get rewarded for solving the mathematical problem with Bitcoin. So they're rewarded for spending money on energy and spending money on computer processors. So then it increases difficulty. So that's why some people say, well, what about when quantum computing comes? Can't that break Bitcoin? Well, the miners have a financial incentive to keep the Bitcoin network protected. So what are they going to do? They're going to invest in quantum computers to help solve the problems which make it more difficult. I hope that helps. I mean, I don't want to confuse people, and maybe we'll do a whole show on this.
By solving these problems, are they just making it more encrypted?
Exactly.
So it can't be.
Yes. And it's making it harder and harder to crack. And so the idea is, the blockchain, if you will, I don't use that word, but it's getting stronger and stronger with each mining activity, and the difficulty keeps increasing. So hope that helps you. I don't really want to lose our audience in
Bitcoin. But I still don't understand how you make money from it. How do
well, they get rewarded.
Mining,
so they get rewarded for successfully completing the problems with the Bitcoin, or fraction of Bitcoin. So they get rewarded with Bitcoin by solving these problems. So hope that helps you. And, I'll do a whole show maybe on Bitcoin mining, but, we got to keep it flowing. We'll lose people if we get too much into. But basically, the more, it's called proof of work, and there's a whole process behind it. And then if you ever see, those cryptographic keys, it's like, 57E, 29FB, blah, 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 and they're keep making it increasingly more difficult, and you have a whole array, and they get rewarded for doing that. So I hope that helps you. So, and then the bigger question is kind of what is Bitcoin, which is, peer-to-peer money exchange. I think both of those questions you need to ask. You should read the Bitcoin white paper. We'll do a whole maybe podcast on it. People kind of be boring for a radio show. So hope that helps you. But you got to learn. You definitely got to know what you're doing before you do it. So next up, Richard had a question before the break. Go ahead, Richard.
My question, well, I want to, I guess, wrap up the Bitcoin conversation. Said, how many...
I want to move on the Bitcoin thing because people get lost in it. But go ahead.
Well, just wrapping up, you said there's a limitation on the amount of miners or so. How's it expanding? Will there ever be a floor to so many miners? That's it. There's not an extension. There's going to be Bitcoin surplus. It'll always be coming. That's kind of a general question.
Well, no, there could be more miners. The Bitcoin supply is fixed.
That's what I was...
At 21 million.
And that's it. So is that exhausted right now, or it's still within?
No, there's still more.
There's still more. That was my general. We can wrap that up on that,
And
but that was early on.
The supply is capped. So, let's move on. People get lost in the Bitcoin world. So this is why I sometimes don't take Bitcoin questions.
Because I need, with that conversation, Jim, you get me some Tylenol, please?
Yeah. So next up, We're going to go to the phone lines at 800-321-0710. And folks, if you want a review on strategic asset allocation, tactical asset allocation, guaranteed streams of income, and volatility buffer approach, call me right now, 888-988-JOSH. I'd love to meet with you. Come down to the Jersey Shore. Shake my hand. You'll get to meet me. 888-988-JOSH. And we'll give you the book Retirement Reality Check as a free gift. By the way, you can get my book on Amazon bestseller from HarperCollins, which you can buy for like, I don't know, $14.99, or we'll give it to you free when you schedule and keep your no obligation Zoom appointment. You could meet us on Zoom, could meet us on Microsoft Teams, or you could meet us in person. We'd love to meet with you. We have advisors who go all over the region or the country if you need to. We have a clan retirement party we're planning in Texas, so that'll be fun. Or you could just call us and come to meet me in my corporate headquarters. I love to meet listeners. So call us 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. Next up, we got your calls, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. Let's talk next about the high earner trap. You earn $500,000 a year and still feel broke. Why? You earn $100,000 a year and you still feel broke. Why? You earn $200,000 a year and still feel broke. Why? You earn $50,000 a year and still feel broke. Why? You can put in any number. But according to CNBC, Americans are living paycheck to paycheck with a high income. And it could be travel baseball, right? Like, I mean, I thank God I'm blessed, but you know how much these bats are? If you don't buy your kid a $450 bat, Jim, the Hype Fire, you hear about this bat? You could hit home runs with this bat. So it's kind of a funny phenomenon, travel baseball. Are people involved with this? So your kid's 7 to 12. Instead of them, getting dirt under their fingernails, they sign up for these elite baseball teams. Well, number one, even if your kid's elite at 7 or 8, I know families, they are foregoing summer vacation. They are cutting their summer vacations early because of travel baseball.
You know why that is, right?
Stop the madness. Remember that woman who was fat and then she was thin, Susan Powder? And she would go, stop the insanity?
Yeah.
I think we need to do a cultural opt-out of sports on Sunday. And by the way, there have been trends that I have set because of this show. You put it out into the universe, comes back to you. Haven't I done certain trends? Homeschooling, right? Everybody thought it was weird. And I've been an advocate of homeschooling ever since. And I remember my wife said, why are you doing this? Like you have public school teacher clients. I love public school educators. You're changing the world. You're out in the mission field of today. I'm all supportive of that. But I think we are going to change society by homeschooling, by kids not getting bullied constantly for various things till they want to die and kill themselves with heroin. I think homeschooling will be a revolutionary trend in the next 25 years to save us from people like Mamdani, who were brainwashed in communist ideology and want to put that on all of us. New Jersey even had it. Now you can't sell your house in New Jersey without a tax over $1 million, the transfer tax. You hear about this?
No.
Oh, it's bad. And they just did it. You're totally clueless. Did you know about this,
Yeah,
Rich?
I heard I'm not selling.
So everybody needs,
I heard
so
about
they did this tax so that somebody
Yep.
would get money, but now nobody wants to sell. I'm not going to
Yep.
sell my house.
Exactly.
I bought my house for 475 grand, 15 years ago. Never going to sell it because I don't want to pay a 2% tax
Talk
above
about
$2 million.
low inventory now.
I don't want to give the government 40 grand. Phil Murphy, go thank you. Thank you very much. No,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm not going to give you an extra 40 grand. You know what I'm going to keep in the house? I'm going to charge, if I ever sell, I'm going to charge people a ridiculous amount in rent to be
Right.
in my former house.
Amen. Exactly.
And that's what's going to happen. Inventory is going to remain even lower.
Yep.
It, by the way, should be item number 1 on whoever runs for New Jersey governor's wish list, but it won't happen because
No. You kidding me?
New Jersey's a place where money goes to die.
Well said. Well said.
So you earn 500 grand a year and still feel broke. Why? Lifestyle creep. High earners are sabotaging their own futures, and how to fix it before the golden handcuffs tighten. Many higher earners spend 90 to 95% of your income, saving a little to support large paychecks. It reminds me of that verse, he who is faithful in little is faithful in much. And I would argue if you can't live on 50 grand a year, paycheck to paycheck, and save $1,000 a month, you're never going to live on 500 grand and save 10% a year of your pay. It is the same mindset. It's the keeping up with the Joneses. Like the travel baseball. We'll go back to this travel baseball. So travel baseball, and I'm a part of it, so I'm, I guess, a little bit of a hypocrite, but we are not so a part of it that we're not removed from it. Like, they're like, you can't go on vacation because your kid did that. I'm like, what? No. Oh, we're going to bench your little, 7-year-old. We went on vacation. My kid played 2 innings a game for going on vacation. Ridiculous. I'll let the coach do whatever they want to do, but it's like, to me, this is why then kids grow up and they're out of sports at 13 or 12, or they hate baseball at 13, because think about this. We are telling these kids, you have to focus on one sport. When I was a kid, you played football one season, basketball one season, baseball. You got athletic. Now we're seeing these kids play baseball. They're going to be playing this weekend, kids. Thank God we don't have baseball this weekend. So it's 100-degree heat. They got to play 2 games or 3 games a day. Not even the pros play 3 games a day. And they're hot. And then we wonder, why did Johnny quit at 13? Because they make it not fun. The coaches are yelling and cursing at the kids at like 8. Oh, well, and I go, how's the coach? And he goes, it's a little much. I go, what do you mean by a little much? I go, is he cursing? So if a coach is cursing at the kids, pull him off the team. If a coach is not teaching your kids multiple positions at 7, 8, pull them off the team. We are institutionalizing this form of, it's really psychosis. Like, I don't, so if you have a nice coach that rotates the kids around, I don't care. My kid was on a team last week. They lost 21-2. The other team lost 16-0. I was happy. You know why? It's not about the W. He was learning positions. And you know what? That team, if they stick together over 3 years, they'll get better. They'll have more fun. Because you know what these tournament teams do? They pick the best kid from one town, the best kid from another town, the best kid from another town. And it's like 12 of the best kids. And those kids that you call the best at 8 or 12, what they do is buy these bats that should be illegal. And the ball just flies off the bat. So they teach these kids how to hit in a unique uppercut way. People go, well, why does Anthony Volpe swing a strange swing? Well, because he was a part of travel baseball. And they teach this uppercut swing that teaches you to kind of almost like a projectile missile off these bats. And it works when they're 12. It works when they're 8. Works when they're 10. It does not work when they're in the big field off 90-mile-an-hour pitching or 80-mile-an-hour pitching when they're 17. It does not work. Got to have a short swing, boom, to the ball. But so I believe a lot of these kids are going to flunk out of their sport because of travel baseball. And there's travel soccer. My kid was on travel soccer. They called them elite. They're like, your kid's elite. So what are you going to do? If they call your kid elite, you're going to say, I'm going to spend as much as I can to make sure my elite 6-year-old makes it to the MLS.
Well, that's the goal. I mean,
And it's
for the
all about
coaches. That's all
parting
about.
money.
That's
So,
all about.
but this is just one of the many reasons that high earners feel poor. You add the travel sports to the luxury cars, to the bigger homes, to the private school tuition, then you have raised fixed expenses. Or they say, I'll save later, right? Have you heard that trap? I'll do it later. How do you know you'll make that kind of money for the rest of your life? And Tom, my screen keeps shutting off. If you could stop that. The behavioral trap is I'll save later, but lifestyle expands to meet or exceed income. Financial independence just doesn't require income. It requires saving. That's why I say if you can't save at 50 grand, you're not going to save at 500. And I'll explain that more why. But Kenny is standing by. Go ahead, Kenny.
Oh, hi, Josh. And that was a great point you made about travel baseball. A lot of the coaches there, they're not even really coaches. They really don't even know the sport that well. They play favorites with their kids. It does cost a lot of money. And families go on vacation in the summertime. What's the big deal? They're just kids, right? And they're teaching the kids to uppercut the ball is ridiculous. Anybody who knows baseball, you should have a level swing. And it's basic stuff. An outside pitch, you take it to the opposite field. You don't try to turn on it and pull the ball. And a lot of these kids get mixed up in it. They should be playing. If the kid wants to play other sports, obviously he should play other sports. It's good for their, to learn those sports. And it also helps them athletically become even better athletes. There are some kids that just prefer one sport. That's different. Unfortunately, in our school systems, we don't emphasize schools. The New York City school system was decimated through budget cuts and the communists running the school system. Should have more sports for the kids. If kids like entertainment, they like acting and singing and dancing, you should have classes for the kids like that. And it would make it interesting for these kids to go to school instead of just having them sit in the classroom and just put up with the nonsense that goes on.
And we do that with homeschooling. This week, the last 2 weeks, while your grandkid or kid was playing video games, my kids learned the alto saxophone and the trumpet, and they loved it. And
right, because they're learning things that they like to do. That's if they started when I went to school, if the first 2 classes were basketball, I would have been there first. I would have opened the school up and done that and got there. And kids who like entertainment and singing, have those classes for these kids. And of course the regular mathematics and learning and all that other stuff that has to go on the sciences. Yes, of course that's going to be present. But a lot of times they're eliminating that stuff for kids. It's ridiculous what they do. And also the travel teams, I emphasize, they do play favorites, but I also was a firm believer in they signed foreign players to the professional baseball at 16 years old. I said, well, there's a lot of Americans. Why don't you sign them at 16 years old? With the
you know
permission from
why?
their
Because
parents and
they're
give them
playing.
a
But
head start. If I'm 16 years old,
no,
in the Yankee
but
farm
real quick,
system,
I want you to share what you're saying. It's very good. But one of the reasons they're going outside of the U.S. is because these kids in the U.S. are not as athletically gifted. Meaning, back 30 years ago, Michael Jordan was a baseball player. Do you know that? Before he would play, he kind of took up basketball later. That's why he became so skilled at basketball. He learned the coordination and the skills of baseball. Aaron Judge played football, baseball, and basketball. So what happens is in other sports, they play with the ball. Dominican Republic, they're playing soccer at 4 or 5. They're learning eye-hand, good footwork. I think you should you have kids do at least 2 sports. You know, if you, even if you think they're the best, you know, baseball player in the world. But what's happening is their kids' arms are getting wrecked. So I firmly believe travel sports is probably killing the kids' future. Because the kids have to throw gas at these tournaments, or else they get lit up like a lollipop. So what they do is then they teach the kids the wrong way. Their kids, I have a 10-year-old. There are kids throwing curveballs that are going to junk up the kids' arms at 9, 8, and 10 at the Super National Elite, blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, these kids are amazing. I will give it to them. I've never seen 8-year-olds play like this. I've never seen 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds play like this before. But the problem is it doesn't translate well when they get older. I think that's why we're losing kids. I don't think it's due to the fact that they're playing favorites with people from the Dominican Republic or Spanish-speaking countries. I think, honestly, those people kind of get life. So they're just playing the ball. They're hitting a tire. You know what I mean? They're kicking a ball. And they just are more athletically gifted because they've played. Like, I have a kid. He plays. We have a trampoline. He goes on the trampoline for like an hour or two. And he just throws balls and catches it. And I saw him pitch yesterday. I go, you got better. He goes, yeah, I practice every day. But what are you doing every day? You know, all he does is he takes the ball and he whacks it up against the trampoline net. And, you know, but the thing is, that's what they do in other cultures. Kids are allowed to play and experiment and learn different things and do, you know, things like playing wiffle ball. We have these coaches, they're not allowed to play wiffle ball the day before because it messes up their swing or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I don't think it's a different thing. But no, go ahead. You're making a lot of good points, Kevin.
Yeah, but we have great athletes here. Look at the Olympic gold medal totals and the totals. We wipe everybody out. The thing is, I just emphasize, if the American kids could play baseball and be in a professional system at 16, should we let them do it? I, for years, was a big advocate of Japan opening up their baseball league. They used to just restrict it to 4 foreign players. I said they should have more. We open up our major league.
I don't think that's true because you even look at, I think it's the travel sports element because they have to learn bad technique like the uppercut swing and all that other stuff to make it into these tournament teams. People go, why, you know, let's look at Anthony Volpe, right? Great player. I'm not going to turn on him. When he was just a contact hitter last year, he did so well. But then they had the torpedo bat, and he was hitting all these home runs, and now he's just trying to hit a home run ever again. If he goes back to just trying to put the bat on the ball and old school, like, balanced swinging, he'll be back to normal. But they're all trying to hit home runs because the analytics and this, it's just dumb. But I agree with a lot of what you're saying. You see, Tom said this, the kids overseas are not distracted with electronics and play like we used to before all the computers and phone. That from a computer guy. So I'll give Tom kudos for that. That's a great point, Tom. Okay, any other questions, Kenny, before we go on to the break?
Sure, but I just want to emphasize that more sports should be involved with the young kids who want to play sports and should be available to them. And we have the greatest athletes. Just look at those Olympic totals. And also, one quick thing with sports and everything. My famous line is, there are no bad coaches. There are just bad teams. If the coach is no good, just get another team or start your own team and don't put up with the nonsense. And even on the major league level, the players, when they have 2 strikes on them, don't make adjustments. They're still swinging for the fences. No, you're not Babe Ruth and you're not Lou Gehrig. Make adjustments and play along the lines of your game and have fun out there for the kids. There are a lot of psycho coaches. I've seen coaches who wouldn't let the kids get water when they made them run and stuff. I thought that was insane. When I was a kid, I ran into a coach like that. I still went and got water because I knew you needed the water on a hot day. Those guys should not be coaching. But the thing is, I have to emphasize, the Roth IRA, I think, is a powerful tool for young people. And I'm thinking about getting one, and I'm going to get one. And I think it should be emphasized because a lot of young people aren't thinking about these things. Money goes in there, you can control where it goes, but you got to have discipline. If there's no discipline, you can't really succeed successfully. You're a hard-working dude. I mean, even though you said old Italian men put their money under their bed, I mean, that was a slur, and people let it slide. Any other group, you would have been off the air in 10 seconds. But the bottom line is, emphasize it to the young people about Roth IRAs. I think we're going to do really better with young people. A lot of smart young people.
No, I know a lot of
dedicated out
people who
there.
did. I know a lot of people who did the under the bed trick. I know a lot of guys who did that. A lot of people do that.
I still do it.
Yeah, a lot of people put it in the rafters, put it in their house.
got it in the
I know that
safe.
a lot. So, well, thanks for the call, Kenny. We'll talk later, hopefully. Next, we're going to the phone lines at 800-321-0710. We'll be back after these messages.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
So we're going to go to the phone lines at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710 if you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds. What about you, Jim? You know, how many relatives did you have put money under the mattress?
Many, many, many.
Yeah, it's not a, I don't know what the guy's talking about. It's not a slur. People do that. Regardless of culture, it's the rafters. You got also people from former communist bloc countries where they had their monies confiscated. People, you know.
Well, from Depression II era.
A lot of that is due to going to a bank in the Depression. It has nothing to do with culture or ethnicity. A lot of people do that. It's just because they went to the Depression, they went to their bank. They didn't get any money. Excuse me.
It's the thought process. I do it. It's
being
after all
conservative.
through. It's a
There's nothing wrong
conservative
with the thought process.
touch, feel, open it up. I see it, it's there. It makes me feel safe.
Exactly. Now, it's
That's-
okay to
that's
have, you know, a couple grand at your house. Going beyond that, you're kind of inviting like a theft. So you got to be careful with that. So let's talk about the high earning trap. But before we do, we'll take your calls at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. We had someone on the halving. I don't want to talk about the halving. But Steve, you can make your comment. Just make it quick. I kind of don't want to get off in Bitcoin land. But go ahead, Steve.
Okay, as far as the halving goes, the way I see it is after so many halvings, there's got to be a number where Bitcoin just seems to vanish to nothing. Am I missing something?
No. It's just the idea is it'll become more valuable with each halving. So, but yeah, I don't want to get off in Bitcoin world. No, you're wrong though, because every 4 years. So what happens is when you mine Bitcoin, your reward is less. So when you solve that mathematical problem currently, so like every 4 years, the new reward for solving that complex mathematical problem is 3.125 Bitcoin. So you make like over 300 grand for solving that problem. It used to be 6, and then it was 12, and it was 25. So the idea, though, is, and it's proven correct, is that as it progresses, the value of each Bitcoin is worth more. So like when you only get half of 3 Bitcoin might be 300 grand. I don't think it pre-programs it to, it's sort of protecting the money from inflation. That's what it's trying to do. It's kind of a deflationary asset, not an inflationary asset. So hope that helps. Next, we're going to go on the phone lines at 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, mutual funds, try to get away from the Bitcoin discussion. It's kind of, just... So basically, when you solve the problem, the complex mathematical problem, the halving is a pre-programmed event that occurs every 4 years, reducing the reward to the miners by half. But it sort of protects, it makes Bitcoin mining, it's not like something that's easy to get into. You got to buy the energy supply. You got to buy the miners. It's easy, but it's difficult. It can be a costly thing to do. So, yeah, they not only have the money for each problem they solve, they also get transactional money. So think of it as like they're the toll road to use the Bitcoin superhighway. So if you move $2,000 or buy $2,000 of Bitcoin, they're getting 1.5% fee. If you're getting $100, they're getting 2.25%. So they're getting rewarded for people transacting on the Bitcoin network. Think of like Western Union. I mean, at its core, Bitcoin is how people can exchange money. So it's almost like email. So if I want to send you money, Jim, I don't go through a bank. I send money directly to you. There's no intermediary except the Bitcoin network. So think of how much you have to pay, a cash, when those payday money lender places or Western Union. It's a great solution, by the way, in third world countries. It's a great solution in the U.S., right? Like think about how much you have to pay Visa to transact on Visa's network. The place you buy stuff from is 3% typically. By the way, there are companies now that negotiate that with Visa. My friend works for one, and they negotiate the credit card fees from 3% to 1% so you can make more money. That's a very powerful kind of concept. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. But I love sports. I just, like our society, this is the thing I was going to put in the universe. 0 sports on Sunday. Go back to the old school. You should have one day where there's 0 sports. I'd create a league. Everything's on Sunday now. So you have no day. I mean, we're going to start getting off of that too. It's like travel soccer, for example. You play rec soccer, it's Saturday. Travel soccer is Sunday. So like our kids were older, we thought, oh, travel soccer means you're great. Now, they're all kids. They all stink and they're all great, It's like they're kids. They have good moments, they have bad moments. And then talk to another kid. He played Division I soccer. He blew out his knee, So it's like they play so hard, these kids now. So I think we should do away with sports on Sunday. Does that make sense?
Great thought.
And then you go to the coach and you're like, we have the best coach in the world. For one of our kids, he's like, yeah, you can go to church. I don't mind. I'm not going to penalize him. That's the coach you want to be with. Does that make sense? You don't want to be with the coach who starts penalizing your kid for missing due to a family event So that's what I'm doing. I don't care about if the team loses. Is my kid developing, having fun, and can they have a life outside of the sport, right? Literally seeing kids like not go on vacation. We can't go on vacation. And then what else? So that engenders other kids hating the other kid. Because you're not going to have, like I have 7 kids. They're not all into sports, right? So then the 2 that aren't into sports or the 3 that aren't into sports are going to resent the 4 that are into.
Yeah, but think about that. The kids that are resenting, that thought isn't coming from them. It's coming from the authoritative coach, and that's the wrong person to be coaching at that level.
No. What I'm saying is when it becomes so dominant in the family life cycle, you know, but no, that's true too. So visa fees range from 1.515% plus 5 cents to 2.4. Then why are people charging 3%, Tom, for credit card fees? So that was from Tom, that the average cost of credit card processing fees, according to AI, not Bankrate.com, is up to 2.4% per transaction. But they always charge 3% now, which is kind of a scam. Okay, John, we're going to go to the break. Then we'll be back with John with a comment on young athletes. This athlete thing seemed to have touched a nerve. I don't agree with the guy on the U.S. The reason why the U.S. has better Olympians is we have more money to train the kids for those specialized sports from 0 to 16. That's precisely the problem as they get above and into the older ages is they didn't develop the firm athletic base in other sports because they specialize too soon. So it actually proves my point. But we'll take a break and then we'll be back with John. Call us at 888-988-JOSH. Get the free book, Retirement Reality Check, when you schedule and keep your no-obligation review. We'll be back after these messages.
Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
If you're watching on Twitter, follow us. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We got Richard, who was an All-American wrestler or something.
I love that. I'm going to put 2 cents into this.
Wait. I want to hear from Richard. He has a great comment. But first, John, a comment on young athletes. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Josh. Great show. Always a good show. You're doing really well, and I think you're very successful in a very, very short period of time. Anyway, I did have 2 comments, one on sports for young children, and the second one was on Bitcoin, if you have the time for that.
Sure.
But on sports, I'm beginning to think, and I don't know if they're doing this now, is that they should use a lighter baseball, a lighter soccer ball for the younger kids. And I think the reason, to think that a young kid, 6 or 7, is going to be able to push around a soccer ball that an adult can do, I think it's crazy. Same thing with baseballs, and maybe even bats. And I think that's why I think that's why some kids who are not taught right, can really hurt their arms with these heavy balls.
No, I think you're right. So, right on. They do have smaller balls for soccer. Soccer does it best, which is, I think, why soccer is more popular. You have smaller fields, right? So kids get really confident. You have that with baseball, but That 4660 Little League field is pretty big if you're 6, 7, 8. They try it a little bit, but I think they need to have more transitional fields, more transitional balls, maybe. But it is tough. I think maybe more of even they do a softer ball when they're 6 and 7, like a spongy ball, so if it hits them, it doesn't hurt them. But they convert to about an 8. At 8, they have the hard ball, which to me is maybe a little young still, because kids still get hurt by the ball, and sometimes they don't like it. So, no, great points. And your point on Bitcoin? I know I said no more Bitcoin talk, but everybody seems to want to talk about it today.
Before Bitcoin, I wanted to say, I'm old enough to have played midget football on Sundays. And what was great about it was back then everything was closed. We had all those, blue laws, so there was nothing really to do on a Sunday. And a lot of times if you wanted to, what I had a great time doing, and it was in the afternoon, is you'd get dressed up and you'd go to the game and have the game, and it was great. And then you'd come back and you'd be exhausted. You'd lie down and turn the TV on and watch your pro game if it wasn't blacked out. Most of the time the game was blacked out. But it was just a great way to spend, 6 or 8 Sunday afternoons during the fall, because there was nothing else to do. The thing about Bitcoin, I think you're on to something there. Bitcoin is just really a service. It's a financial instrument. And its value really is, I think, in its demand, or what you think other people are going to demand for that value. Now, that's the way I'm looking at it. Now, if you look at what's going on now, say, right now, I understand that President Trump has stopped the illegal aliens from transferring money out of the country. So there's going to be less of a demand for Bitcoin there. And Europe is now beginning to send everybody home. So there'll be less of a demand there. So I don't, and also it's something that is not really, its demand is not really proven over a long period of time yet. It's not like, say, gold. We know what the gold supply is. But in a different sense, gold has an intrinsic value, especially now. I think it's getting more valuable because as more of the countries get into these space programs, they need more gold. And, of course, electronics always need gold. But the Bitcoin, there's nothing there. It's ephemeral. It's what I can talk you with.
No, well, it's just like the dollar. The dollar's paper. It's an IOU from the U.S. government. But no, there's a lot more. There's a lot more value to Bitcoin than you're kind of alleging, and people act like it just came on yesterday. I mean, it's been around for 18 years, 17 years. I mean, almost 20 years. So, to me, it is. People have said that for years, and it just keeps going up. It's 108. What is it now? It was 118,000 last time I checked. So, I mean, the market is saying otherwise. The market is saying, hey, they want money that is not, like you said, it is fundamentally financial service. And people like that service. They like the ability to transact money across borders and not have it be confiscated. That's really the idea. Next up, Dave, go ahead.
Hey, Josh, how are you? Ironically, I'm on a 3-hour drive to a travel soccer tournament. But I just wanted to point out that without, these travel teams and, soccer teams and baseball teams, what are our options? Our kids they play differently than we grew up. They play on electronics. They have limited attention spans. So as parents, we're sort of forced to find solutions to it. And travel just gives us
yeah, but we do travel soccer too. So we drive an hour and a half to the Tuckahoe Turf Farm to spend 3 or 4 games on a weekend. You don't see your other kids. You spend thousands for these teams. By the way, we do it too, but we do it in measure. We don't do it if it's going to conflict. We try not to conflict with church. You could do a youth group, church groups. You could do, hey, let's go fishing. Let's go to the beach. Let's go surfing. Let's go on a boat. We don't do any screens. So we don't have that temptation. I mean, well, they'll play these little like old school like video games occasionally, like they do these handheld things. We don't do a Wii or anything that connects to the internet because that becomes a Pandora box of filth. But and my kids don't miss anything. And but I'm not anti-sports. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-travel. I'm saying we need as a culture to kind of opt out of it because it becomes, oh, if Johnny is good at soccer, he can't play on rec because all the bad kids are on rec. So then he has to go to travel. Then he has to try out 2 days, practice 2 days a week, which is fine, 2 practices and then a game on the weekend.
I could comment on quick on
Then
all
it
that
goes
stuff.
to he needs a personal trainer
Yeah.
3 days a week to keep up with the best kids.
Let me
And
try
I
it.
get it because we have kids who, you know, it's way more competitive than we were. But I think there's nothing wrong with sports, but still go on vacation, still go to church, still have family time, family priorities. And if a coach is abusive or cursing, pull him off the team. If a coach is, you know, these people, the other thing about these travelers, sometimes they pick a kid and then they bench him. It's like, if you pick a kid, don't bench him. Don't pick him if you're not going to bench. You know, so like we as parents tolerate this idiotic behavior because we think, oh, this is their chance for a full ride scholarship. When it's like a 0.001 chance that they'll even play in college, let alone be good in college. I'm just saying, I'm not against, you know, travel sports, but it's something we have to rethink. That's all. As a society, as parents, because if you ask the kids, they love to play, but like they kind of get tired of being like tired of the politics and tired of playing like every weekend. For, you know, 1 game a weekend's nice, but these tournaments, we've been to these tournaments and it's like, oh, you know, you want to go home by the end. So, no, good point. Folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. Dave, are you still there? But that was a great point. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH for the retirement reality check. If you are that person with a high income and losing money to travel sports, call us and we can come up with a strategy where you can get enough income and financial independence for your life. 888-988-JOSH.
Sponsored by the Jelensky
No, I
Advisory
wanted to
Group.
go to
Any
you.
awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelensky or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at jelensky.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as
That's me. Yeah, here, I got insight.
You have a lot of nicknames with a guy like Richard.
Yeah.
You could go Dick, Dickie,
Slow down, cowboy.
Rich Ricky, Richard the Lionhearted, Richard Simmons.
Boy, that's a blast from the past.
Little Richard.
Oh,
you
good
got
Lord.
Ricky. Did you have a lot of nicknames?
I
Growing up?
did. I did have a lot. And the ones that we don't want to bring up right now because this is a clean show.
Okay.
So I want to comment.
We're still
as-
live on X. We got people watching, so share the screen.
Yeah, so
comment.
Especially this. This
is the after show.
This is the after
With
show,
Richard.
the post cleanup, right? The post cleanup to finish off the athlete and what the
So we're talking about travel
set the
sports,
stage.
and I'm putting it out in the universe. I have no
Not
problem with
compete
travel
on my-
sports. We had a guy who called on travel sports. I should have said this. let's just ban them on Sunday, right? Like
Never gonna
a
happen.
one-day. No, by the way, people said homeschooling
I'm telling you
It's 81
why it's-
degrees at 11
was
o'clock.
strange
Good morning. I'm Bill
years
Trefero.
ago.
I'm
We were
telling
looked
you
at
why.
with two
An
heads.
MTA
No,
bus
we are
crashes
putting it out into the universe. It's going to happen. Okay, Richard?
Here, it'll happen this way. Being a athlete myself, playing
I'm an
wrestling,
athlete. I love it.
wrestling at the highest level, all through college, all the above. I started in 8th grade, so let's set the ground right now, especially with the gift and a curse of social media and this phone and the influence on all the marquee sports and how much money these athletes make and the opportunity to gain scholarships and all that. The want for these coaches and parents want their kids, and they are the next Michael Jordan or they're the next, Derek Jeter, etc. The list goes on, and they feel because they're told they need to start at an early age. When I started in 8th grade, people were starting to perform. They call it, the Weeder program. You're starting in grade school, 6th, 7th grade. That was it. It was really odd to get people starting to wrestle before then. So with that concept, to want to reach.
And by the way, I had all-American wrestlers at my high school. We were a great wrestling program.
great wrestling program. So
and you know when they started? 6th grade.
6th grade. So
No. To be fair, though, the really good kids did start.
It started to
younger.
break. Don't forget, I'm 59. But here's
Yes.
the reason: is during a high school career back then, it's a lot more now. If you wrestled you ended as a senior on varsity about 100 matches. That's where you were. So when I started out in 8th grade, having my surrounding colleagues in wrestling started a little bit early on to make up for the difference. You did all the summer wrestling, all the clinics, all the tournaments, and the philosophy was what it is now is to gain another 20 to 30 matches, so it's like another season. So during the season, out of the season, so the time you're in high school,
But how many months
you're
did
double.
you spend?
It
This is my point.
became 12 months out of the year.
Oh, no, but you went to college.
I
You
did.
were a
So the
college
point,
wrestler, Division I?
12 months, Division III, Trenton State, the College of New Jersey, the highest level, All-American, all the above. But the whole point of that extra is to get your ability speeded up as quickly as possible.
Virginia.
Huh?
I thought you were
I
like
did. I
Virginia.
started out at JMU, and then I
Okay.
transferred in. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is what they're doing now, they want to speed it up and get these kids at the highest level from an early age. If you let the kid be a kid, keep in mind, what's the percentage of that individual actually going to the highest level of getting paid or scholarships? It's very small. So let the kids, in your comment, take Sundays off. Okay. How about let the kid be a kid? Because if he has the genes, the genetics, let him do the extras when it's time.
All I'm saying is this.
I'm getting kids wanting me to train them when they're like under the age of 10. It's ridiculous the pressure they put on these kids. So I am going in a rant like you did with AI. They abuse these kids to want to get something out of them at way too
It's
early.
all about getting money. They
It's
charge
all about-
$5,000
Amen.
a
That's it.
season. Here's the thing. There's a lot that you brought up that I want to unpack. Okay. Why are we talking about travel sports and a money program?
of the cost.
The cost, we have so many people who are complaining, I make $500,000 a year and I don't know where my money's going. And there's a couple things to look at. Bigger homes, right? You get that raise, get a bigger home. Luxury cars. Home Depot. A lot of people have a Home Depot fetish. Private school tuition. I have a bat fetish, which is baseball bats. I have an addiction to buying baseball bats for my kids. So I'm part of the problem. And there are things that you want to do when a kid is younger, right? So like one thing that I learned that I might take my kids to you, Richard, when they're 6, 7. There needs to be a somewhat of an athletic base, like how they kind of move their feet. And you used to think, oh, that was just your parents are athletic. What I've learned, because I've seen on it's just basic speed and agility training, I think that would be good to invest in with kids. so they kind of learn, you know, the cones and the little hurdle things.
Of course. Do you want to speed up the talent?
Because no, what I'm saying is learning basic speed
Of
and agility,
course.
so you know have some basic coordination, because that is
Yes.
tough to learn later in life. I have, you know, it's way easier to learn how to surf when you're 6 than when you're 36. You know, when I started, it was way easier. So there's some things where an athletic base is important to develop when they're younger, which is why we used to have gym class, and gym class used to make you do push-ups. Now these
Yeah.
kids just walk and they're on their phones.
Yeah.
But and they used to have to climb a rope and do all these, you know, feats of strength. Yeah. To go with your, I know you guys like Seinfeld, but the old feats of strength. So I got a quote from Positive Feedback today. OMG, I am loving another Saturday with my guru. Your show sounds like round table investing. She loves you and you. So
always
kudos.
loves me.
It's a really nice touch when you have conversations with your staff. And by the way, you are extremely lucky to have such an amazing staff to complement your practice. I know, very, very.
I want a raise. I definitely want a raise.
No raise. We're not gonna. We're not allowing. We're not
going to
allowing him to
Bermuda.
speak anymore.
We're going to Bermuda.
And by the way, you are extremely lucky. As for the volume on YouTube, it could be tweaked louder. Again, the YouTube. Please, Tom. You look especially handsome this morning. Great haircut.
That's
Love
what
that
I said.
tie.
I said
Very striking. Then she said, this is like the best email of the week.
Is this the best one she sent?
When the heck is Gordon going to stop picking your brains and become your client?
Yes.
He's a good conversationalist, but he should hire you and stop using you. He's a cheapskate.
She said that?
Love it when you go on a rant. We love Gordon. Gordon, you can keep calling forever. If you don't want to become a client, that's fine. We're there. I'm like a share bearer. I love to share value and love to everyone. But as you notice, people who don't take action, you could be I mean, he is one of the smartest callers we've ever had. I think he sits with a log. He knows every call I've ever made.
Oh, he's well prepared.
He's well prepared.
Did you ever ask him to come in for an interview?
You know what? I'm not gonna force it. It's not. Somebody doesn't want to. They don't want to. You know, I love him. I love
No,
him.
actually to work here.
But here's the point.
Work here.
No, because he doesn't take action. But the point is, he's probably well off. I mean, he sounds smart. But the point is this. I always want callers to feel like they can call. They don't have to be pressured to become a client. But we would love you to become a client, Gordo. But my point is, you got to take action, right? Knowledge without action is dead, right? It's like, what's that Bible verse? Love, faith without works is dead. It's the same thing with financial knowledge. You could be the smartest person in the world, have everything spreadsheeted, and still do things shockingly wrong. And that's why you need a heart, all grit financial plan.
No regrets.
There's no guts, no glory. And then she says, I love it when you go on a rant. I'm not a fan of AI. It's completely impersonal. I think those that are so addicted to apps, phones, etc., will become totally detached from humanity. Have a wonderful weekend. My best to all. I love this dear listener friend. She is the best. So we thank all of you for your tireless efforts as a part of our listening community. But I want to talk about you, Richard, for a second.
Yes,
your
sir.
favorite topic.
Yes, sir.
That's
nice.
So you were pretty much, well, JMU were you wrestling Division
I
I?
got a
Division III?
Yeah, I got a scholarship to
So
do
here's the thing.
JMU.
And that's what happens to a lot of D1 athletes. They go back to Division III because they don't like the Division I experience. So, but here's the thing. I've known D1, D3 wrestlers. I've known D1, D3 athletes. You started at 8th grade. You didn't start at 6th.
Correct.
So I think that was part
No
of it.
pressure.
I don't
It was no
mind
pressure. No
if
pressure
you
from
go
the
very
parents.
in depth from 8th grade to 12th grade, it's the starting at 6. because it forces the kids to also think I'm not good.
Exactly.
And you know what happens? Different kids develop different dexterity. So you have different, like we have 7 different kids. They all develop at different times. Like even me, I developed greater strength later in life, like with weights. I was like, oh, you know, exercise isn't for me. Meaning like intense, high intensity. I did my wife's stuff, who's very athletic. Like, oh, I'm not you. I brought myself up to that. Wasn't exactly what I liked, but I really helped my VO2 max and other things. You can always increase your athletic base. It's easier to do it. I think when they're young, you should focus on having a wide athletic base, different movements, different styles, different strengths. But this, starting the kid off at super elite travel magic baseball at 7, 6, 8.
But that is, Josh, that is the point. It's like at that young age, I'm all a fan of what you just said. Give exposure to everything at a young age. That's great. But then is your kid coming to you and saying, I want to breathe, sleep baseball, put me on every team? No. You need to let that kid and that mind unfold. At 8th grade, myself, I was exposed, friends wrestled. I said, let me try it. And then I was a fish in water because I was developed, and I took it to a whole nother level when I stepped on the mat. I never got off of it 12 months out of the year. You're talking about these young kids, the coaches, the parents, and everybody wants them to be the next rock star. The kid, no, not one, I'm not saying not one, but it's be very rare at 6, 7, 8 years old that they're saying, I want to play nonstop. I want to start doing agility training, strength training, pitching, all this stuff. They're not saying that.
No, my 7-year-old, he wants.
Well,
to
there's some he wants to play more, but he also wants to go on vacation.
Yeah.
He wants to be a
Play
kid.
with worms and fish
Yeah,
and
he
all
wants to
those
be a
things that are
kid.
Well-rounded. Here's the other
Exactly.
thing. There's nothing wrong with your kid wanting to play. I mean, I have
No,
kids who
not
wanna
at
play
all.
baseball
If they
12
want it,
But here's the
yes,
thing, no,
but don't
here's the
penalize
thing.
them.
No, but
Don't.
another point, and we'll conclude with this.
Yep.
What do you teach your weightlifting clients? The importance of rest days.
Oh, that's huge.
With a why? Recovery.
Recovery, huge. When you ask me, oh, I trained this, I'm sore in this, what do I tell you? Do I tell you, I'll grin and bear it, go and do it
Yeah,
again?
I'm a little sore
No.
today. Should I do
Absolutely
my chest
not.
is sore from yesterday? Can
Your
I
body
but can I
needs
do-
to
Can I do
recover.
back and buys today?
No, if you're sore and you had adequate, a workout for your entire body, the answer is no. You will benefit more for a day off, especially how old you are.
But that's
Especially how old you are.
I'm way younger than you, buddy.
I know you are. I know
so
you. I
the
know,
point
I
is,
know.
it's funny. And then the one
Rest, eat,
the
sleep.
one
We can
guy
get a
said, we had
whole
caller
session
who
on that.
said like I was new. Did he catch that? There was a caller on the show.
Maybe he
who
was
said I
new
was
to
new.
you. He might have been new to him.
Maybe he's new to my show. I've been doing this
Oh,
for
maybe
like
he's
18 years.
Yeah, I know.
New.
New
the-
to him.
And then the other thing, the recovery. When you pitch, your arm needs to recover. If you talk to real pros, I have a buddy who played Division I baseball. There are kids now pitching, and I didn't know because I didn't play that level high competitive baseball. I'm incorporating this. We did this kind of intuitively. We kind of take 6 weeks off from January to February 15th, roughly, for just relaxation as a family. No soccer, no baseball, no nothing. He said basically from November 1 to March 1, you should have no baseball because of the throwing in cold weather. Can hurt your arms and your supraspinatus and your infraspinatus. And that's, by the way, these tournaments, they go to like Thanksgiving now. So I'm learning things
The leads,
as a parent.
money, it's a money grab.
It's all the money. It's all money grab.
It's not more. You think of it realistically. It's not always the best interest.
And then there's
of the
also
kids.
confidence, right? Like there, you might be the best kid in the little league, but then when you go play these, super happy Magic travel teams, you then think, oh man, I'm a loser. I'm not as good as this kid who plays 7 days a week.
That's tough.
Little do you
Different
know.
world now.
Little do you know that kid will not play beyond 13, because they're going to be burned out. Because most, I mean, we love it, and the key is to have fun. So what's the most important thing? Have fun, honor God,
Enjoy it. Amen.
go to, I'm really advocating, I'm okay with the travel. I just think Sunday should be off. That's my
I'd
my
love to
push.
see it.
Sundays off of sports.
Rest.
You know, so folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. If you want help with your portfolio so you can afford all the bats and the travel baseball that you want for your kids and grandkids, or you want to save money in a Roth IRA and take that money that you were spending on travel baseball, put in a Roth, you'll be a millionaire if you do that over 20 years. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages. Thank you all. Twitter, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Super terrific magic happy hour. What was that from? That was a Seinfeld, right?
No, is that a